guys, when all else fails, they take us to war. That's exactly where we're heading, in my opinion. It's obvious. That's what the deep state here in the United States want. They're trying to poke, they're trying to attack Russia and trying to cross every red line that Putin and Russia has drawn. We've crossed that and keep on crossing those red lines, trying to provoke Russia into attacking a NATO country directly. And when Russia attacks, Britain, France, the United States, the NATO will declare Article 5, and they will go to war against Russia. And that will make Russia look like the aggressor. They did that with the invasion into Ukraine. They poked and they prodded. They armed Ukraine. They would do all kinds of sneaky maneuvers, and they crossed every red line there also that was put forth, and they kept crossing those red lines. And Putin didn't think he had any other option but to invade Ukraine for his national security. That's what happened. Regardless of what the nightly news tells us, regardless of what Fox News or politicians say, if you look into this and you study the history, the United States was arming Ukraine. They were building up forces in Ukraine. They were giving training. They were giving all kinds of advanced information, satellite information. They were getting ready for a war with Russia. And Russia kept trying to negotiate peace deals, and every time that they would, the United States and Ukraine would say, okay, we'll go with this, and they would break it. And so Russia didn't think they had no other alternative but to invade Ukraine to get rid of that threat there on their border. So that was a bait also. They were kept on baiting until Russia finally took the bait and invaded Ukraine, which made Russia look like, the aggressor. Because they will tell us that Russia invaded Ukraine on this date, but the war had actually been going on. Everything had been going on, actually, not the actual war, but there had been skirmishes and things going on for some time that they don't tell us about, in the mainstream media. Now, they know Ukraine can't win this war against Russia. So they're doing everything they can right now to keep this going and to expand this. And they are allowing Ukraine to use longer range missiles to attack inside of Russia, deeper and deeper inside of Russia. So they keep poking because they're trying to provoke, they're trying to bait Putin and Russia into attacking a NATO country directly. And in my opinion, if Russia doesn't take the bait and doesn't actually strike, Britain or some other NATO country or the United States assets directly, there'll be a false flag, and they will say that Russia did, because they are determined to get us in this Third World War with Russia. 100% determined. And this is coming very quickly, in my opinion, more than likely right before Donald Trump goes into office as the president here of these formerly United States. But this video here from Fox News, it's 2.5 minutes long. We're going to watch this, and I will interject my thoughts and what I think they're actually saying in this video.
So 4 days after President Biden allowed Ukraine to strike parts of Russia with U.S.-built and proffered missiles, Putin is threatening to retaliate with strikes against U.S. facilities and says his military hit Ukraine today with a medium-range hypersonic ballistic missile. The Pentagon just responded moments ago. Watch this.
We've seen this type of dangerous, reckless rhetoric before.
Dangerous, reckless rhetoric. Like supplying Ukraine with long-range weapons and giving Ukraine permission to use those long-range weapons. Is it dangerous? They're talking about Putin's dangerous rhetoric, but yet we're giving Ukraine long-range weapons and giving them permission to use those weapons against Russia, plus landmines, and they've crossed every red line that Putin and Russia has drawn. We've crossed it through Ukraine, trying to provoke Russia to attack a NATO country directly so they can declare Article 5 and have Third World War against Russia.
From President Putin. What we're focused on is continuing to support Ukraine with what it needs.
Let me interpret that. we're going to continue to support Ukraine with what it needs. Meaning, Putin has came out and said that crossing these red lines, that he can attack United States and NATO facilities directly. And they're saying they're going to keep doing what they're doing. They're not going to pull back any. And they're going to keep doing exactly what they're doing with Ukraine, providing long-range weapons and allowing those to be used. And they'll probably even up the ante. So that's how that's interpreted there. More of the same we're going to get from the deep state that's running. This is a mouthpiece for your deep state right here. And that's exactly what she's saying. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully Russia retaliates against these facilities so we can declare Article 5 and go to war with NATO against Russia. That's what she's saying right there. So let's wind this back and listen one more time here at this.
So 4 days after President Biden allowed Ukraine to strike parts of Russia with U.S.-built and proffered missiles, Putin.
U.S.-built missiles, plus, from what I've read, it was United States, British, that actually targeted these and actually used these weapons against Russia. That's what I read. Everyone says that it takes training to use these and that they had to be manned by United States military personnel or British. So direct attack with NATO troops against Russia, Russian mainland.
Is threatening to retaliate with strikes against U.S. facilities and says his military hit Ukraine today with a medium-range hypersonic ballistic missile.
So let's look at it this way. Let's say that United States and Mexico, and you have China supplying Mexico with long-range weapons and give them permission to attack inside of Texas with these long-range weapons. And they strike inside of Texas with long-range weapons from China. The Mexicans are using those with Chinese troops actually manning those and putting those into cities in Texas, attacking Texas. You can see the hypocrisy of this. They act like that Russia should just lay down and take it. And I wish that this whole war would go away. I wish the whole thing in the Middle East would go away. I want peace. But I see what's actually going on. I've studied history. I've studied this. And it's easy to see they're trying to provoke because they want this third world war. It's crazy. I know it's ridiculous, but that's exactly what they want. It's obvious at this point. It should be to anyone.
The Pentagon just responded moments ago. Watch this.
We've seen this type of, dangerous, reckless rhetoric before.
Dangerous and reckless, kind of like giving Ukraine long-range weapons and giving them permission to strike deep inside of Russian territory. Is it that dangerous?
From President Putin. What we're focused on is continuing to support Ukraine with what it needs.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst reports live from Kyiv. He has been watching all of this up close and was in the tunnels with President Zelensky just the other day. Trey, what about this new development?
Yeah, Martha, good afternoon. We know that overnight Russia launched a new missile into Ukraine targeting the southern city of the Dnipro. This was the first time that such a large weapon was used on the battlefield since this conflict began 2.5 years ago. And it raises questions about the message that Russia is trying to send. Ukraine initially claimed the missile was an intercontinental ballistic missile, but Russian President Putin says it was an intermediate ballistic missile. The Russian leader said in the future, civilians will be warned to leave areas where more advanced missiles will be launched. Putin added this about the involvement of the West.
We consider ourselves in the right to use our weapons against those nations that use their weapons against us. And in terms of escalation, we will respond as surely and clearly.
The escalation comes as Ukrainian forces are now targeting deeper into Russia using U.S. and British-supplied long-range missiles, while overnight the Biden administration approved the transfer of anti-personnel mines to Ukraine. These moves are seen by the Russians as crossing a red line, prompting officials here in Kyiv to brace for an increase in missile and drone attacks. Martha?
They're trying to bait. That's obvious. The deep state is trying to bait Russia into attacking NATO assets, a NATO country directly, so they can declare Article 5. And like I said, if it doesn't happen before Donald Trump takes office, there will be a false flag. They will do something themselves, kill a bunch of people, and say it was Russia that did it. So we have to go to war, declare Article 5, and go to war against Russia. So it's going to happen, in my opinion. Hopefully I'm totally wrong, but we see they keep poking and trying their best to get this started, to get this all-out war between NATO and Russia. Horrifying. What kind of morons? What are they thinking? I mean, really, what are they thinking? And they don't give one big shit about Ukraine at all. This is all about a war with Russia, taking Russia down. And like I said, if they don't get Russia and Putin to take the bait and to attack directly before Donald Trump goes into office, I think that there'll be a false flag, and they will say that it was Russia, and then we'll go to war. So either way, in my opinion, we're going to go to direct kinetic war between NATO and Russia. And more than likely we'll have Iran get involved. We will have North Korea attack South Korea because the United States has a lot of military in South Korea. So it's going to spread very, very quickly, and China could definitely get involved. I mean, well, World War III, that's what they want, World War III. It's coming regardless of what Russia does. If Russia attacks NATO directly or not, there will be a false flag that will say that was done by Russia. A unprecedented, vicious attack. So we have to go to war, declare Article 5, and go to war against Russia, because Russia is trying to take over the world. Putin is unhinged. That's what they're going to say. Anyways, what you think in the comments below? Do you agree? If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give the video a thumbs down. Leave your comments with your thoughts. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video, if we aren't completely evaporated by then.